back in the late 70s. We had been living down in Longview, Texas, I believe it was at the time. Moved back to Arkansas, and we moved into a trailer out on a dead-end road. My dad was working for a trucking company called Mack Trucks. Mack Trucks is a company that's still around, and but Dad didn't work long in that because he had to be out of town a lot, and so he started working for Leroy Haney at an auto parts store. Worked there for a little while, and then started working for Stephen Haney's auto parts store. During that time, he had 4 boys ranging from my age would have been 6, and Clint's, the oldest, would have been 10. Pretty close together in age, and that's 4 mouths to feed on top of him and Mom. And so while he was working for Stephen Haney, he would also do some construction work. He'd pick us up from school, and we would go to job sites where he was framing. He would do the framing part of it, and then when he'd pick us up, usually we would we'd go in and clean up the job site, put down flooring, and then on the weekends we would go back out, or he would with us at some point, and roof the house. And so we started real young in learning to get anywhere you had to work. And at that point in time, the economy was pretty bad for everybody, so just working as much as he could just for us to exist. And so that would have been, again, late 70s. And he worked for Steve Haney for quite a while, and then doing that type of work on the side for quite a while. In the mid 80s, he bought a parts store of his own, and we moved into Sherwood at that time. We all worked at different places. I think Tim worked at a IGA, and Roger worked for a construction company. Clint worked for agriculture company, supplier type warehouse, and then I was going to school. We were all going to school in the mid 80s. Actually, Clint would have graduated at somewhere around the mid 80s. So anyway, Dad started the parts store, and at 16, I believe, maybe starting when I was 15, I would go to work at the parts store after school. Starting when I was 16, I would leave school at 11 o'clock and go to work for Dad at the parts store. And I graduated, I just turned 18. So for my last 2 years of high school, I worked for him, usually from 11:30 till we closed at 6. Late 80, early 89, he closed the auto parts store, and he got back in the roofing business. And so Dad, he started roofing full time. And I believe at that point, somewhere, in those first couple years, I'm not sure at one point that Tim and Roger started working with him full time. I don't really know the time frame, but at some point Tim and Roger worked with him full time. So I was working for Dad, and it just worked out, that he would allow me to work for him when I wasn't at school. 2002, early 2002, Roger and Tim, called me. We got together, and they said they wanted to start our own roofing company. And of course, they've been working with Dad to some extent. I think Roger was working somewhere else at that time, and Tim was still with Dad. And so Dad done a lot of residential work, a little bit of commercial. And so we were not really trying to build the business to anything large. He was just, working it for himself to be able to provide for himself and whoever worked for him, but he wasn't trying to build the business any bigger. Tim and Roger wanted to start a commercial roofing company, and maybe, so we could grow it larger. And we got together and formed the company February 8th, 2002. Up until 2008, my dad was still doing roofs on his own. He was doing residential roofs, and we would get calls from people wanting us to do their roof, residential roof, and so we would have Dad's crew do it. And Dad kind of joined our company, to some extent. He was a face here at Fraley Roofing that was such a big advantage for our company. We had a residential salesman, and he decided to start his own company. I eased into the residential sales at that time. Prior to that, I was basically working with the crew installing our commercial roofs. And so we really started doing our residential side full time around 2008. And I hired a crew to do those jobs for me because we didn't have enough guys to do that. We really took off on the residential side at that point. Dad would be there to advise me and assist me and really help me understand a lot more about residential sales and not just the application. From 2008 until now, that's what I've been doing, is residential sales. When I started selling residential, we weren't doing, I don't know, a handful a year, maybe 10 to 12 a year, if at the most. We had a big hailstorm that hit here in Sherwood, and that, along with the tornado that hit over Little Rock, our business really picked up on the residential side. By 2010, I was running two crews, and by 2012, I was running 3 crews. We were working 7 days a week. My roofers were putting roofs on 7 days a week, and that went on for about 3 years. And so I think at one point, myself and I'd hired my son-in-law, Alex Silva, and we were basically overseeing 4 crews at one point there for a pretty good while. The 10 years from 2008 to 2018, we probably installed somewhere over 3,000 roofs, in that first 10 years of me doing the residential. 2019, we saw the COVID situation arise, and we thought, well, what are we going to do? Everybody's getting sick, and people are taking off work, and you don't know whether they're going to come back to work or not. So we did lose probably half our crew. But throughout the entire COVID pandemic, we didn't necessarily slow down. We lost a few people as far as our installation crew. Instead, we were blessed, and we continued thriving. We really, really appreciate all the customers that we have. We really appreciate all the customers that have trusted us to do their work. The last few years, we have taken on more of a construction side than we ever have. We're installing roofs, we're installing decks, we're building fences. So we not only do roofing, we do several aspects now. Decks, fences, interior work, exterior work, siding. So looking back, 23 years now, we've been doing this, and I can say that it's been one of the greatest times of my life. Best thing is to be able to work with family and just to continue to move forward. 23 years together has been outstanding, but we're looking at as many more. We just want to continue this company and move forward. So I'm just thankful that God's enabled us to do what we can do. I'm thankful that our families have been blessed right along with it, have grown, and who knows, maybe our children will be able to take over the reins someday. At the end of the day, our focus has not been about just growing the company. It's been about helping our church grow. So one thing that I hadn't really talked much about, is the reason why we really wanted to start this company. Our goal hasn't been to just help us financially. Our goal is to further the work of God, further His kingdom in our church. We want to help any way we can in the growth of our church. I'm not in any way trying to make Fraley Roofing sound any greater than it is, because that's not what it's about. It's about furthering the kingdom of God and furthering our church and standing behind Pastor Holmes and Bishop Holmes. Whatever little thing that we can do, it's what we want to do. Overall, I just want to thank everyone that has allowed us to do their project. My goal is to help people with their projects, not just get another project. My goal has always been to make a relationship with a customer. I'm proud to say that I work hand in hand with my brothers to some extent, and that we all have the same vision, the same goal,